What's going on, everybody? Welcome into week 15 of the Sunday Social over on the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel. I'm your host today, Dylan Clemons. Here with me, as he is to kick off the show, is Matt Crubel talking his betting card for week 15 of the NFL season. And it's fantasy playoffs, everybody. We are just now getting in our sweet spot of the season. We're here to help you win all your fantasy matchups and lead you down the road to the fantasy championship, guys, here in a couple weeks. So like I said, Matt's going to kick us off with his betting card. Then we're going to have Joe Bod, founder of Fantasy Six Pack, jumping in to talk about his rankings and just talk about some of the big storylines coming into week 15 with Phillip Rivers, Matt, coming out of retirement, suiting up for the Colts. That's sure something that we're going to have to talk about. And this Christian McCaffrey back injury that's popped up the last couple days is pretty interesting. That's going to affect a lot of our fantasy lineups as well. After Joe talks about that stuff, we're going to have the start-sit segment of the show where myself, Ike Bonni, Kyle Senra, and Keith Flemming go over all your start-sit questions, and we already got a bunch in the comments waiting for us, so looking forward to answering those. And then Keith will stick around and talk his NFL DFS slate with us, and it's a big one here with all the games going on today. So, Matt, great to have you as always, man. How you doing? You're big time kind of college better, and it was just Army Navy yesterday. So did you dip your toe in elsewhere, or did you kind of just stay away?
I took a break this last weekend.
All right.
I've been betting pretty hard in college the last 12, 13 weeks. So this week I was just like, I'm going to take a little break this weekend, kick my feet up, and just have a stress-free college football week. So
I like that, man. Good for you. Good for you. But all right, man, let's go ahead. Let's jump into this week 15 slate of games. And there's some good ones, Matt. So I'm curious to see what you got lined up here for us.
Yeah. So I think what I'm going to start out with, guys, I was, this last week, since I kind of took a little break from the college football scene, I looked long and hard at NFL lines this last weekend. And I wanted to see the movements and what Vegas was doing with, if anything rised or anything fell or anything like that. But Dylan, this first game I'm looking at, and I think I'm going to dip my toes in the Los Angeles Chargers at plus 5.5 playing at the Kansas City Chiefs. Listen, this is a crucial matchup in the AFC West, and the Chargers have a real chance at solidifying their playoff seed here. Obviously, if we've watched any NFL this season, you've watched the Kansas City Chiefs be highly inconsistent, which is something that we haven't seen over the course of the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years, whatever it's been. It has been very, very, very inconsistent. And now, albeit the Chiefs aren't mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, but I think even if they win today, it's like a 16% chance that they get in, or like a 12% chance they get in, or something like that. Listen, the Chargers, that number at plus 5.5, they've already beat the Chiefs this season. I know they're going to Arrowhead, so it's a totally different ball game. But the Chargers' offense is good. Their defense is solid. And with the inconsistent play of the Kansas City Chiefs, at plus 5.5, I think the Chargers can keep it within a touchdown. So even if they do lose, I think it's going to be a 3-point game. I think they'll keep it within that plus 5.5. So I like the Chargers, and they're playing with high motivation today. So I'll take the Chargers.
Definitely, man. Why not? I don't trust the Chiefs to cover 5.5 here, the way that they've been playing. I don't mind taking that number. Well, I'm a little bit worried about Herbert and how he's dealing with that hand injury. He didn't look great against the Eagles. I'm also curious. I haven't seen the weather over there in Kansas City, man. Is it supposed to be cold? Because I'm in Wisconsin here, and it's brutally cold here today.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and it's 7 degrees. I think currently right now it's 12. So it's definitely cold. It's definitely cold. They're going to be dealing with a cold atmosphere today. But other than that, I don't think the wind's supposed to be blowing hard. It's just supposed to be cold.
Sure. Yep. Omarion Hampton back for the Chargers too. Looked solid last week at his return. That's just another element for that offense here. So yeah, I don't mind taking that one at all, man. So what do you got for your next one?
Yeah, I think the next one I'm looking at is, again, another away favorite. A lot of people would lean I'm going to take the home dog in this situation, but I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers at -1.5. I think over at BetMGM, you can get them at -1. It's almost a pick 'em game. It opened up as the Broncos as the favorite, which typically at home, that's the case. Obviously, we know what these two teams' records are. They're two of statistically record-wise best in the NFL in their respective divisions. But if you go back and look at the Broncos' schedule, they haven't really played a tough schedule. It's been a pretty pud schedule for the Denver Broncos. Now, I'm not saying that they're not a good team. I do think they are solid. Obviously, their defense is one of the best in the NFL. But Green Bay shows a consistent trend. I know that they have all their weapons back. Josh Jacobs was questionable. I think he still is questionable with his knee injury. But they have their full complement of weapons. Christian Watson's been playing good. Jordan Love's been playing consistent, right? I think there's just so many weapons on this Packers offense that they might overwhelm the Broncos defense a little bit. So I am going to roll with the Green Bay Packers at -1.5 playing at Denver, just because this is kind of a prove it game for me. I think this is going to be one of two of the toughest teams Denver's played all year. Other than that, it's been a pretty easy schedule for them. So give me the Packers.
It surprised me, Matt, when I saw this, when this line came out and Denver was dogs at home. But Vegas knows something here. We discussed before last week about how the Packers were favored by 7 on the road, or 6.5 on the road. And what did the Packers beat the Bears by? They won by 7. So the Packers were able to cover. So I get you, man. Vegas knows something here. And, I think you're onto something. This Packers team's legit, unfortunately. Yeah. Their offense is a little bit of a roller coaster. They rely pretty heavily on Josh Jacobs and then big explosive plays in the passing game. So that's a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde there. But this defense is good, man. It really is.
It is. Yeah. It should be a fun game to watch. These two games that I am pretty hard betting on I'm going to watch them pretty good. I think they're going to be fun games to watch.
No doubt. You got anything else, Matt? What else you got?
Yeah. There's a couple more games that I do like. To be honest with you guys, I like the under 55.5 of the Rams-Lions game playing at Los Angeles. I think that game, obviously, you've got, again, two high-powered offenses that can get the ball rolling at any point in time. But I think this is going to be a defensive battle. I don't think this is just going to be a free scoring game. 55.5 is a lot of points. That's a lot of points to be given a team. And we have seen these two teams go off before offensively, where their defense just kind of really didn't show up. It turned into an offensive battle for both of these teams. But in this specific instance, I think this is going to be a little bit more defensive minded than what Vegas is giving. I mean, again, 55.5 is a large total in the betting market. So I think this is going to be a little bit more defensive minded in this specific matchup. I think you're going to see some defense.
Oh, that Rams defense is legit, man. When your Detroit secondary's beat up, so I think that's where they could be attacked here. But it's hard to run on the Lions as well. But like you said, that 55.5 number, man, that's a massive number.
That's a big number. That is a big number to hit for sure. I mean, the implied point total, I think, for the Rams is 33 and the Lions is like 17. So I have it pegged at more of like 50.5. So if it was at 50.5, I would probably lean the over slightly. But and people, they always say, man, that's only 5 points. That's only 5 different points. Those 5 points is massive in the betting world.
Yeah, so. Matters, man, no doubt.
Yeah. No doubt. If it was at 50.5, I'd probably lean the over, but since it's at 55.5, I'm gonna lean the under.
Sure. All right, right on. You got any more, Matt, or do you just want me to pick your brain here on a couple of these games?
I want you to pick my brain, but there is one more that I am gonna sneakily just. I'm not gonna talk a whole lot about it, but the Panthers Saints, man, the Saints being +3 at home. We saw what the Saints did, beating the Buccaneers. I'm still not buying it. Like, I think the Panthers still have a real shot here to help their case for the playoff push. And I think the Panthers are a better team. So that game just jumped out at me at -2.5. in most places. I think you can get it -3 at a couple places.
Okay.
That 2.5 number is, if you get it at 2.5, I would take it at 2.5 and just put your dice, roll your dice, take the Panthers and see what happens.
Yeah, right on. I'm with you there. Panthers are the better team. Tyler Shuck, maybe a little bit of life in this Saints team. Their defense has played a little bit better as of late, but I feel you, man. We're not buying it. This is a huge game for the Panthers.
It is. It's a big game.
They lead the NFC South already, and can't they? I'm pretty sure they could go up a full game on Tampa Bay, or a game and a half now over Tampa Bay, which that's big, man. So yeah, that's
huge game.
Ugly,
so take the Panthers.
Interesting game. Yeah, big game for them. I want to pick your brain here, Matt, about this AFC East matchup. Buffalo Bills been another inconsistent team. Patriots top seed in the AFC, but you kind of talked about it with the Broncos. The Patriots haven't really played a tough schedule here. Well, they did beat the Bills earlier in the season, so that's probably their biggest win. The Patriots are plus 2.5 here at home. Home dog here, Matt, over on DraftKings. So do you have a lean either way here in this matchup?
I do. I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of America does. They're going to take the Bills. I mean, if you want to get spicy, you want to get juicy, then leaning the Patriots is a good play, being the home dog in this matchup. But I already kind of touched on it with the Broncos. Like, the Patriots, I think their schedule's been harder than the Broncos as far as teams that they've played. But whenever you have Josh Allen on the other side of the coin, Vegas is going to lean out Josh Allen. I mean, that's just the way it is. Josh Allen is Superman, right? He can do it. When he gets in trouble, you know what he's going to do. And it just seems like no one can stop him. Now, I know that they have lost to the Patriots earlier in the year. I don't think you're going to see that this week. I do think the Bills are going to win this game. And honestly, spoiler alert, I have the Bills taking it the whole way. I have the Bills taking it the whole way now.
Okay, so, all right.
Yeah, in the AFC. So I just think if it's going to be time for Josh Allen, the time is now. I feel like we say it every single year. And the way that the AFC is shaped up this year with Baltimore and Kansas City struggling, it's like, okay, buddy, this is your chance to take it the distance. Everyone called it, for the past couple of years. So let's just see what happens. But yes, I will take the Bills in this matchup here.
Yeah. All right. Great point there, man. Yeah, this AFC is definitely wide open here. And yeah, I'll be rooting for Josh Allen and the Bills to push through here. And then one more I just want to touch on real quick, Matt, because it's got playoff implications and division implications itself, and that's in the AFC North. That's the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Ravens -2.5 on the road here, going against Joe Burrow and the Bengals. No Tee Higgins for the Bengals here. Do you got to lean on this game at all, or what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to take a team here, I would probably still take the Ravens in this matchup. I think, I think it's going to be a high-scoring matchup. I don't have the over-under in this game pulled up on my deal. Let me check that out real quick. So the over-under is 51.5 in most spots. This one here, I would probably lean the over. I think this one's going to have a lot of points scored. The Bengals defense, obviously, throughout the season, we've seen have been able to be scored upon fairly easy. I think Derrick Henry is going to have a better game than what he has had in the past few weeks anyway. The Ravens just haven't looked like the Ravens. Obviously, look at their record. It reflects on it. And they were one of the early season Super Bowl favorites, I think. So I do think the Ravens are going to win this game. I don't know what to make of the whole Joe Burrow media debacle that everyone's saying that he's not having fun and he doesn't know why he's doing this if he's not having fun. And then Jamar Chase kind of throws out a couple remarks. I don't know what to make of that whole situation. I think that Joe Burrow's still going to play football. I think he's going to try his hardest to play and beat the Ravens. I mean, it is an in-division rival. But I still lean the Ravens in this matchup. If I were to take anything, I'd probably take the Ravens points and lean the over in this matchup.
All right. Love it. Yeah. I think I would take the Ravens here at the points as well if I were to bet it. I'm not. I'm just intrigued by that game. So one of the better early games here on the slate. But Matt, great stuff as always. My guy, go ahead and plug away what you got for the rest of the season. We only got a few weeks, man. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Betting season is definitely wrapping up for college football. Pretty much it's just bowl games now, and then NFL. You've got a few more weeks of betting, and then you get into some playoff bets, and then it kind of winds down for football betting. But if you guys want to check us out, you can look up the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You give us a subscribe. It really helps the show. If you guys want to check us out when we go live, you can look up the Fantasy Six Packs YouTube channel right here. That's where we go live every Tuesday night. Become an all-access member at fantasysixpack.net. And you guys can have access to not just the bets we give you on the show, but you can have access to all the bets that we put in throughout the entire week. And so much more information, so much more over there. So do that.
All right. Love it, man. Great stuff as always. Can't wait to chat with you next week, my guy.
All right. Take care, guys. Good luck.
See you, man. All right. Let's go ahead and bring in Joe Bond, founder of Fantasy Six Pack, for his segment of the week. Joe, how you doing this morning, man?
Good, man. We got a little bit of snow on the ground. Nothing like you guys get, but we got a little sprinkling compared to you all, but snow on the ground nonetheless.
Yeah, no, that's nice to have a little something. Makes it a little more appealing to the eye instead of it just doomy and gloomy outside, no doubt. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right into this, Joe. And everyone's wondering here. We ended up changing him to our thumbnail. Christian McCaffrey dealing with a back injury. How should fantasy owners go about attacking this today? Is he... Obviously, I think we're still starting him, but where did you move him in your rankings? And how are you playing it here, Joe?
I didn't move him at all. I still think, they're saying he's good to go. It's the Titans. This offense runs through CMC. I really think they're still going to give him a large workload. I think the only thing that holds him back is if he actually injured it more in the game. But I think they're gonna get him rolling here. You muted yourself and you didn't come back.
Oh, good. Thanks for that. No, yeah, I was just saying I like to hear that you're not worried, you're not moving him down in your rankings, so that's good news here. Let's talk about Mr. Phil Rivers, Joe. 44 years old, coming out of retirement to help the Colts out. What do we do with this offense?
Oh, man.
You're still starting Jonathan Taylor, obviously, but what else can we do here? Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, who's been usable at times. What do we do here, Joe?
Yeah, so this one's got a lot to unpack here, and then I know Dylan's dealing with a little mic issues here, so he's going to bounce for a second. So, look, the real issue here, right, is that it is a 44-year-old Philip Rivers who hasn't played in 5 years. He wasn't good the last year he was in the league anyway. So I am not going to lie, I'm terrified of this offense this week. Jonathan Taylor's down at probably the lowest he's been all season, around 9, 10, 11 range in my half PPR rankings. Pittman and those guys are, wide receiver. Pittman's a wide receiver 3 at best. Downs and those guys, I wouldn't start. The one that I think is probably the biggest question mark is Tyler Warren. Now, he's been struggling to be a super relevant, a startable fantasy tight end for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish weeks. I mean, we've got single in half PPR leagues, we've got single digit points in 4 of his last 6 games. Not great. I have moved him down to around the wide receiver 9, 10 range. I've been flip-flopping him around that range with Isaiah Likely, Jake Ferguson, Kincaid's up there with that. Those are guys that he was not around for most of the season. He was up there with the Bowers, and those top 3, 4 tight ends all season long. Again, it's the Philip Rivers effect. Look, I was talking with Corey Pieper Fantasy Six Pack Hour co-host with me. He said something kind of interesting this morning that made me think like they could manufacture some touches for him. I know in Penn, like he said, like at Penn State, you know, he used to run the ball here and there. So maybe they manufacture 5, 6 rushing carries for him. I don't know, man. Like they've got Jonathan Taylor. Like, are you really going to hand the ball off to Tyler Warren? I don't know. I really struggle. I mean, I guess the only thing I would think is that Phillip Rivers is just going to look to check down a lot. Not super comfortable in the offense right now. But then there's the other side where like they've got to protect Phillip Rivers, right? He's not mobile at all, right? So maybe they have to keep Warren in a lot to block. There is a lot of unknowns here with this offense, and I think Tyler Warren is one of the biggest question marks of it all. Like Pittman's got his role, but obviously decreased because of what you see with just the offense in general isn't going to be as good, right? But yeah, JT is going to get a lot of touches. Could see a lot of loaded boxes. He can work around that. If he break all he's got to do is break off one, and he'll be fine. It's Tyler Warren that I'm worried about. I'm not gonna lie. I've got a league where I picked up Likely, and I'm super tempted to make that switch. Good matchup for Likely. I've been getting involved a lot more. Andrews is coming in with a little bit of an injury this week too, so that's just something else to kind of monitor. It should be good to go, but a glute issue, like quad issue type thing, and I mean maybe just slows down just enough that just gives that much more work. Likely could have been a monster tight end the last couple of weeks if he just pulled in an extra touchdown or two, and we know how that goes, but he's been getting work, and I think Likely's in for a big game. I don't know. It's such a tough situation over there in Indy, man. I don't really know.
Yeah. Tyler Warren, like you said, was a top 5 guy all season, and not being able to trust him in a fantasy playoffs is definitely tough. Joe, now switching over to a running back position. Devin Neal is someone we've been able to use in our lineups the last couple of weeks. We've had bye weeks and all of that. With a full slate of action this week, is he someone we can still trust? Do you have him as a top 24 guy this week?
Sorry, I was typing you something. I missed the name you said.
Devin Neal. Useful this week? Where you got him?
Yeah, so Devin Neal getting a lot of work, more than I thought. I'll be honest. I've got him. Now I'm looking at my half PPR. I know you're more of a full PPR guy, but I've got him just outside the top 24 for half PPR. You could talk me into moving him up a couple of spots. It is Carolina. They're weirdly enough, like their defense has been stingy at times this year. I don't think they're an awesome defense, but I mean they surprise us. Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing you can count on with Neal, which shocked me considering how much they weren't using Kamara, is just how much they are feeding him the ball. 2 weeks ago, it didn't work out well against Miami of all teams, and then last week it worked out against Tampa. I think he's a fringe running back too.
No, right on here. And then another big injury news here, Joe, was Tee Higgins is out with a concussion this week. Who's the wide receiver that steps up for him? Are they usable in fantasy? Is it Yoshivas? Is it one of the tight ends? Is it Mitch Tinsley, who a lot of the DFS guys are talking about this week? I see Dave Eddy talking about him in the discard. Who would be the best option here?
For redraft purposes, it is Yoshivas. He sees, 80 the last 2 games when either Chase or Higgins was out. He saw 88% and 90% of the snaps. So he's on the field a lot more. So the opportunity is there, right? He doesn't see the massive target share that like a Tee Higgins would. And Tinsley is involved, right? And Gesicki will get involved too, coming off a really big game last week. I do think Joe Burrow likes him a lot. He's kind of a dark horse tight end streamer for me if you're kind of desperate for tight ends this week. Tinsley, the reason why the DFS guys like him is the price. Like I don't know exactly what the price is because I don't play a lot of DFS, but I imagine he's really close to min priced, if not min priced at receiver. He gets like downfield targets, end zone targets.
3,100 on draft.
Yeah, I mean, he just gets those like, scoring opportunity targets and just enough that like makes him a good punt play with some upside there. Like you don't need a lot for him at DFS for him to make that up, and it lets you pay up for like all these really, really top end guys. That's what you want in DFS. But for me, for redraft, it's Yoshavas, but I don't love it. Because he hasn't actually really blown up in any of the opportunities he has had so far this season, and I really don't expect it to happen again. So I would not use him if I could. In a redraft, I wouldn't use Tinsley either, though. Okay. This is Chase and Chase Brown, and again, maybe a little Gesicki if you really are hurting at tight end, and I mean, maybe they get P. Ryan mixed in. One of those other guys is going to score a touchdown. I guarantee it, but good luck figuring out which one it is.
Yeah, no, I feel you there. And at this point, with no bye weeks, I feel like you shouldn't need to use Yoshavas or Tinsley in a redraft lineup. But
Correct.
still definitely something we should touch on, Joe. I think we can go ahead and jump to your top streamers of the week over at USA Today. So, what do you got going on this week, man, for your favorite plays, your favorite streaming options for the week?
Yeah, again, look, I'll preface all of this, streamers, it's fantasy playoffs, right? If you've gotten this far, you've probably got a pretty decent, base of a team here, right? So these streamers are not like, hey, go and throw these guys in for, let's throw this guy in over Zay Flowers. No. I don't love Zay Flowers either, but I'm not starting any of these streaming receivers over those guys, right? Like, don't get too cute. But look, there are some of you that are dealing with random injuries, guys where their value has changed because guys have come back from injury. And so the guy that you were leaning on previously isn't as valuable anymore. So there are times we're going into that, going into the streaming pool works out a little bit better. So starting off here, quarterback, I put Shedeur Sanders on there. That's a chasing points type of thing, but look, Bears defense can be had. Unfortunately, sorry, Dylan.
Yep.
It's Tyler Shuck though. Is probably my favorite of the two though that I put on here. Did pretty well against this Carolina Panthers defense just a few weeks ago. He's been a top 12 quarterback 3 of the last 4 games. Now I get it, bye weeks are mixed in, so probably not really a top 12 quarterback when you really think about it. But hey, he is playing a lot better than anybody would have thought.
No doubt.
Down the stretch here, and it's not always pretty. But look, last week he showed he's got a little bit of a rushing floor too, man. 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, it wasn't good passing, but he got it done because of that rushing ability. And so maybe he can keep that going there. Running backs, I still don't get it. Blake Corum, I'm going back, man. Like, why is he not rostered more? 39% rostered. He might have gone up the last couple of days, but when I wrote this article on Thursday night, Friday morning, 39% roster on Yahoo. The guy's basically splitting exactly half and half touches with Kyron Williams. They are not giving workhorse load to Williams anymore. Corman's involved. This is the tougher matchup. Detroit does allow the fewest points to running backs, so it is a tougher matchup. But this Rams offense is good enough to like get the running backs more involved and keep them involved. And I think the Rams are gonna be able to move down the field, and then in the top of the red zone, maybe Corum can get a touchdown and make it happen. Singletary is another guy that I like. I know Tracy's probably gonna play, but Singletary, Tracy again splitting it. The Commanders' defense is garbage. Receivers, Jaden Reed. It is always kind of a crapshoot with those Green Bay receivers, but they were really trying to make get Jaden Reed involved last week in early. And then, typical Green Bay, they just sort of just sprinkle the ball around to a billion receivers. But I think Jaden Reed is going to be somebody who you can rely on a little bit more in this tough matchup against Denver. Like, he plays the slot, so he's not on the field a lot. He only plays in those 3 receiver sets. But when he's on the field, they give him the ball. And because he also plays in the slot, he's not going to get Patrick Surtain. And digging a little bit deeper, Denver ranks 26th in DVOA against receiver threes, which is typically your slot receiver, right? So that is something to kind of take note of. And so Reed, I think, could be somebody that they lean on here, especially with Jacobs sort of banged up. We're still not even totally sure if he's going to play. It sounds like he will, but maybe they kind of ease off the run game a little bit. Wilson's been serviceable and had that blow up game a couple weeks ago when Jacobs was out, but I think they could lean on that. Jalen Coker is another one, just a little bonus there. I like him. He's been kind of trending in the right direction there with the Panthers. Tight ends, I mentioned likely. Theo Johnson's another one against the Commanders defense. Really good matchup there. Both have tremendous matchups. Baltimore and Commanders playing against Cincy, the Giants, and playing the Commanders there. So great matchups there. And then the 49ers, man, go attack that Titans offense. They've been playing better, but the Titans are still bad. They still rank as one of the worst offenses in the league. Second fewest points in the league, fewest touchdowns in the league, allow like the second most sacks, tied for 11th with 17 turnovers, which sounds like, oh, that's not too bad. But there's like 8 teams in front of them with 18 turnovers. So it's like one more and they'd be like top 3. So it's like, it's not that great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be where I would go.
All right, Joe. Great stuff as always, man. Before we get you out of here and switch to our start sit segment, let everyone know what you got going on the rest of the year. And like I said to Matt, it's crazy that we're already into week 15 and we just got a couple weeks left of the fantasy season.
Yep. Yeah. So, same old, at F6P_Joe on Twitter and X, and Blue Skies similar. Over here at Fantasy Six Pack, got the rankings that are updated pretty much every day, multiple times. And then I read the usage trends article over here, which will be probably ending. I don't know. Maybe I'll do one more. The usage trends is pretty irrelevant at this point. People are just kind of rolling with who they got. USA Today also be doing the streamers and sleepers article that drops on Friday. And then, we're starting to get out the baseball content for those who play fantasy baseball. We're starting to roll some of that out slowly here in January, February. It'll really start, hammering the site. So,
all right. Love it, Joe. Great stuff as always, man. Can't wait to chat with you next week for round 2 of some playoff matchups, man.
All right. Good luck, everybody, and I hope to see you all next week. That means you advanced.
Yes, sir. See you, Joe.
Bye.
All right, let's go ahead, jump into the start sit portion of the show. We got Mr. Ike Bonni, Mr. Kyle Senra, and Mr. Keith Flemming. Good to see everyone here, guys. Let's go ahead, jump right into the questions because they're piling up here. Our guy Mookie, he's back. Jackson Dart or Dak here to kick us off. And then Texas D or Seattle D. Both really good defenses here. Kyle, I'll let you take it away here. Where are you going here?
So we're leading off with the Mookie bets, right? I think that's what the Dodgers do too. I honestly have no idea what their batting order is. It's funny because I was listening to the Sacks You Called. It's a Canadian Quebec podcast, and talk about NFL football, CFL football. Do a fantasy football segment, and the host was saying, Jackson Dart was his start of in his start segment, but he also mentioned he had this exact dilemma in one of his leagues: Dart versus Dak. And while listening to the episode, I kind of thought about that thought exercise and was thinking I would go Dak. I have ranked higher, dome game, and just the concern Jackson Dart just had his worst fantasy game of his career last week, coming off that concussion. So is that what they're going to kind of maybe baby him, not as many rushing attempts? And so the safe floor and really high ceiling he had before, maybe that's not going to be the case going forward. So I just think Dak is safer and more trustworthy. I know Vikings defense can blitz quite a bit, but with CeeDee Lamb back especially, I'd go Dak.
All right. You got a preference defense here?
Oh, right, yeah. I think those are my top 2 defenses in my rankings, so it doesn't really matter, but I think I'm going Seattle. They're playing a 44-year-old quarterback for 5 years, right? Which, it's funny because 5 years ago, the Colts decided to replace Jacoby Brissett with Phillip Rivers, but right now, I think I'd much easily think Jacoby Brissett is a better quarterback. So definitely playing Seattle D.
Wild to think about that. Keith, where you going here? Jackson Dart or Dak, and then Texans D or Seattle D?
I really do love Dart this week. I don't think the last week is concerning. I mean, he's still averaging like 23 points per game over his last month. He played a good defense too in the New England Patriots when we last saw him. Washington, not a good defense, one of the worst in the NFL. But Dak is so good against pressure and against the blitz that I can't sit him. He's first in pressure completion percentage, fourth in completion percentage when being blitzed. Minnesota blitzes as much as any team in the NFL, about 40% of the time. So I would probably roll with Dak, especially to the point that, Kyle was making, that we didn't see any designed runs last week. Dart's going to still run. That's what he does. I mean, we saw him run anyway, but it does take a big hit when he's not, having designed plays to use his legs. And then for the defense, I can't argue anything Kyle said. I just think the Texans D is much better, and I trust them more. I know that, again, it's a great matchup for Seattle with a 44-year-old quarterback who I think he's already a granddad, which I don't know if there's ever been a guy in the NFL who's played that's a granddad, but I just, I've been saying it on this show for months. I don't want any part of this Texans D. I don't care if it's a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, whatever. So I would go with the Texans D, but I mean, you really can't go wrong.
Oh, I think Brett Favre played as a grandpa, like his final year in Minnesota. But
cool.
Right, it really doesn't happen. Sorry.
All right. Next one here. Hurting here. PPR 2 RBs: Dowdle, Hubbard, Spears, Charbonnet, JCM. Ike, we're gonna go here.
I'm gonna do Dowdle and Charbonnet because I feel like Seattle might be going up against Phillip Rivers, could be up against Phillip Rivers, and then they'll have to use Charbonnet a little bit more. So that's what I'll go with.
All right, Keith, where are you going?
Agree with Dowdle. I know it sucks that we're back to basically this 50% timeshare that nobody's happy about. And I would agree too with Sharps, but I will give the caveat that if Rodriguez does not play, JCM would actually be my number one guy out of these. I mean, this Giants defense, 5.8 yards per carry. Like, that's impossible in the modern NFL to give up that kind of yardage. They are one of the worst run defense in the NFL at the line of scrimmage, in the middle of the field, and then also on the back end. So I want a piece of that Washington run game, especially if we know that, Rodriguez is out. JCM would be handling a majority of the rush attempts.
Yep. All right. Kyle?
Yeah, nothing else to say to that. I'd play a Panthers running back for sure. Whoever you think is better, I'd rather have Dowdle right now. And yeah, if Rodriguez plays, I'd go Charbonnet. If Rodriguez is out, I'd go Krosky Barrett. I guess well said.
All right on. Survivor League here. Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy. Keith, go ahead. Where are you going?
I mean, again, it's a really good matchup for Purdy, who is, by the way, the 49ers most points per game in the NFL since he's came back. So obviously that's been a big deal, and the Titans are horrible. But I still, the Dak Prescott thing of what he does against the blitz, I think that's key. I expect both Pickens and Lamb to feast. And Minnesota is pretty good versus the run as of late. Like, it's kind of flip-flopped to where now they're pretty vulnerable against the pass in recent weeks and gotten better against the run. So I would still go with Dak, but it's another one where if you have a gut feeling about any of the three, I don't think any of them are bad plays.
Okay.
Yeah, to that point, I've got all three ranked in my top 12, so I expect all of them to be QB1s, but I do have Dak the highest. I actually, Ilmosity, I've got this decision in a league, a Superflex league, and I could play both Dak and Purdy. It would require benching Jalen Hurts. So I think right now I'm leaning at Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott and leaving Purdy on the bench. So I'm definitely going Dak over Purdy because I'm doing that in my league. So I think I also play Dak over Purdy.
Clean sweep here with Dak.
Yeah.
All right. And then,
That
guys,
gives me confidence. Thanks, guys.
Are we just going Jonathan Taylor here? Need one. JT, Jetta, Chris Olave, Tet McMillan, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, or Wan'Dale Robinson.
I don't think you can bench Jonathan Taylor.
Here.
Let's not.
I would play JT still. Keith,
Yeah.
Would you as well?
Yeah, let's not get cute. Like,
Yeah, you can't
it is a
bench him
tough
right now.
matchup, but again, I say this, I think every time we have one of these superstar fantasy guys, if you bench him and he ends up having the kind of game that Jonathan Taylor is more than capable of having, especially when I would assume they're going to lean on him even more than normal with Phillip Rivers starting.
You will not be happy if he gets.
Yeah, I don't think you can get over that. You could get over, you know what I'm saying, like sitting literally any other of those guys.
I think Jonathan Taylor could have a career high for a single game in catches, just like at some point. Rivers is going to protect himself by dumping off so much, and like the problem with Taylor, he's never really he's always had mobile quarterbacks that don't dump the ball off to him. Other than probably when he was a rookie and he had Phillip Rivers, that was probably the last I guess Matt Ryan 1 year, but like the lack of receptions has been a big problem for him throughout his whole career. Maybe this actually helps that. Yeah, I would play Jonathan Taylor.
All right, Kyle, staying with you here. Need to. Cody does. Jacoby Myers, Juwan Jennings, Michael Wilson with no Marvin Harrison Jr. Tough matchup, though.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bench, Juwan Jennings. Like I said, tough matchup for the Cardinals, but with the targets Wilson and McBride are getting, feels like you still play them. Those are the two Cardinals you probably want to play the most this week, to be honest. And yeah, the way Jacoby Myers has been on a tear with the Jaguars, for anyone who read my goal line guide article this week, I did feature the Jaguars. They have the highest grade of the entire week for their passing attack. So good touchdown upside, I think, for the pass catchers. And right now, I think that chief among them is Jacoby Myers, who kind of looks like the Jags' number one receiver, at least for right now. So yeah, I play Myers and play Wilson.
Like, where are you going?
Benching Jennings.
Keith?
Yeah, I can't argue with any of that. I will say, though, just be prepared for the Michael Wilson, huge games to stop this week. Again, I can't sit them because Kyle made a great point. They are going to, target him a ton. And that's the one thing you want is volume. But Texans are no joke. I do not expect him to go bananas, and I expect the Cardinals' offensive line to really struggle. Will they adapt and have Wilson running more underneath routes? It's possible, but I actually think it's McBride that is going to have just an absolutely – I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 15 targets today, seriously, especially if the Texans get up early.
Sure. And then, Keith, go ahead, take this away. RJ Harvey, Jalen Warren for the flex.
Man. I think I'm leaning Harvey, even with the Packers defense being, pretty good versus the run. I just, he is getting, every week it seems like points. We wish he got a few more opportunities, but Sean Payton is going to Sean Payton. But if you look at the Pittsburgh situation, it's kind of the same deal where Kenneth Gainwell is consistently eating into, Jalen Warren's opportunity. So I'd go RJ Harvey slightly, but again, this is another one where I don't hate either of the plays. I would rather ride the hot hand, and I think the better offense.
Yeah, Harvey would be my play. Kyle or Ike, you had any pushback there?
No. Although I do like playing guys on Monday night, so that's why I'd probably play Jalen Warren. It'd be special.
I think the Dolphins defense also is probably, as Keith mentioned, it's a better matchup than what Harvey gets. And I think the thing with Harvey is it's with Warren, it's just Kenneth Gainwell. Caleb Johnson is doing nothing at all, so it's just one other guy that's messing with his touches. Whereas with the Broncos, Jaleel McLaughlin's getting on the field, Tyler Baday's getting on the field. So there is more competition, but again, seems like Harvey's more involved in the passing game than Jalen. Gainwell has completely taken Warren's third down role. So let's say the Steelers are behind and it's a pass heavy game script somehow. The stretch the Dolphins have been going, Warren could get boxed out and really not have a lot of work. Whereas regardless of the game script, Harvey's going to be involved because they're going to use him as a pass catcher. So he's safer from that perspective.
And then kind of go ahead, Hurts or Dart here?
I like Hurts. All the leagues I have Hurts, and I'm starting him. I'm expecting the bounce back. It's probably the worst fantasy performance of his entire career in any single game, so I don't expect a repeat of that. It's the Raiders' defense too. This is the game the Eagles needed.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's Hurts.
Hurts or Dart?
It's Hurts. Don't overthink it.
Keith, clean sweep here with Hurts over Dart. I know you like Dart.
Yeah, I think it's a lot closer than people think, just because I could see this being like, Barkley had only his second 100-yard rushing performance of the season last week, and I think there's a decent chance that they lean on the run again, but we've seen it too much. Hurts gets so many like if they get down to the 1-2 yard line, they're just gonna, do that QB sneak, the tush push into there, to where Dart, again, like I don't think they're gonna put him in risk, and that's why I just think he's a slightly better play. Hurts is.
All right. Keith, Ladd or Dowdle for you here, PPR?
I think I'd go Ladd. If it's just so frustrating with what the Panthers are doing right now with their running backs, and especially with it being PPR, Hubbard is the one that is being much more involved in the passing game. So if New Orleans does a decent job of stopping the run, I don't think Dowdle has that second chance to get points like, say, Hubbard does, because he's been so involved with the passing game. And again, like I know Ladd's performance wasn't great last week, but that was against the Philly defense. It's very good versus wide receivers, particularly slot receivers. I just think that if the Chargers are going to win, they're going to need on Ladd, because they don't have any time. I mean, if you watch that game last week, that offensive line now missing 3
Every game
tackles.
now for them.
It's crazy. So I do think that Ladd's going to see a lot of volume, because he tends to run a lot of underneath routes.
Ike, Ladd or Dowdle? Both with PPR.
He made a good point that Dowdle is losing work to Hubbard, so I don't like Ladd either against the Chiefs, but I guess you got to go with him over Dowdle for this one.
All right,
Maybe
Kyle?
this will give some encouragement for Ladd against the Chiefs, because you guys remember the first month of the season where Quentin Johnson was acting as the wide receiver 1.
Yep.
In that first month, Ladd's best game came against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Most catches he did until Johnston got hurt, and since then Ladd's retaken over as the number 1 receiver. But even in that struggle stretch at the start of the season, that was actually his best game against the Chiefs. So I'd trust him again.
Ike, we'll kick it to you here. Likely Andrews or Theo Johnson, full point PPR. I see a lot of DFS guys in the Discord, Keith, talking about Theo Johnson. Joe said he likes Isaiah Likely this week here. So where are you going to go?
I like Theo. I think he'd be fine. I think that could be someone or Dart looks to, but it's really hard to bench one of the Ravens tight ends when the Bengals are so bad at it. So
yeah.
I think I would do Likely. I feel like Likely is the more explosive tight end of the two. And that's who I'll go with over Andrews. Andrews seems to drop the ball too much for me.
Keith, where are you going to go here? Likely Andrews or Theo?
I really like both Likely and Johnson this week, but ultimately I'm going to go with Likely. Not only is he all of a sudden just kind of came alive, it started with that Bengals game, but the Cincinnati team versus number 2 tight ends this season, it is insane. They are allowing 35 receiving yards per game. That's more than Cade Otton, and 8.5 fantasy points per game. That's more than TJ Hawkinson and David Njoku. And again, like we've seen this Ravens passing attack really struggle this year. And I think part of it is they don't have a huge mismatch in the passing game. Isaiah Likely can be that and is that for them. And I think that they're realizing that and they're utilizing him more. So I do think Likely again has a good game. But again, Theo Johnson is a great option too. Dart throws, I believe it's about 25% of his pass attempts to tight ends. And Johnson has scored double figures in 5 of the 8 games that him and Dart have played together that Dart started.
Good nugget there. Kyle, where are you going to go here?
I always struggle with sample sizes in football. The thinking being, I'd rather look at a player's whole season because it gives us more data. The last 2 weeks, Likely's been a top 10 tight end. The problem is he has one other game inside the top 30 the rest of the season. So I'm looking at the whole season. Andrews has been the better producer, but the last 2 weeks it's been Likely. I tend to just look at 2 weeks could be a fluke. Likely's been better the last 2 weeks, but the rest of the season, undeniably, Andrews has been better. So that's why I'm leaning Andrews. I know in my rankings, I'm lower than consensus on Likely because we've seen him appear and not just this season, have monster games and then just disappear. So I am kind of looking at what Likely's done the last 2 weeks, more of a fluke. And so that's why I lean toward Andrews. Just give me the guy that's been consistently Lamar's top target, not just this season, but their entire careers, basically. And I mean, they don't think Andrews is done. They just extended him, and maybe that's a bad decision.
True.
I still just think I'd go Andrews over Likely all the time. Maybe I'm stubborn. I'm the stubborn guy, right? That just refuses to make changes.
I feel like this is a tough one here and weighing on a lot of fantasy managers' minds today, and that's Tyler Warren and what to do with him with Phil Rivers at tight end. So I feel like this will give a good barometer of what we do with him. Are we playing Theo Johnson over Tyler Warren at tight end today, Kyle?
I'd say no.
No.
So I don't know what your guys' take is. I think for guys like Pittman and Warren, they're going to benefit from Phillip Rivers, maybe even Taylor to an extent, relative to it being Riley Leonard. I think the one player that may have been helped with Riley Leonard is like Alec Pierce. If the arm strength is stronger with Leonard, he can get those down the field more. But I feel like Rivers is just going to rely on the short area target guys, and that could be Warren. So I've dropped Warren a little bit. He's no longer automatically in the top 3, like it seems like every week, but he's still a top 12 tight end for me. So I would stick with
Keith?
Again, I really like Theo Johnson this week. I want to just state that. However, Warren is facing a Seattle defense that ranks 31st on DraftKings versus tight ends. Just in their last 3 games, number 1 tight ends have caught 18 passes for 192 yards. And yeah, I'm that kind of nerd. I went back and looked. Rivers, throughout his career, targets tight ends at 22.9% of his pass attempts with a passer rating over 100. Now, I will, add the caveat. A lot of that is an Antonio Gates stat, okay? But we all agree Tyler Warren is also a really talented tight end. And more importantly, he is the kind of guy to where Rivers can throw a pass that doesn't travel far in the air, and Warren can do a lot after the catch. So I'm going to go Warren. I also think that, Indy's going to be playing from behind. I know that their game plan is going to be obviously run Jonathan Taylor, keep it close, try to, eke it out. But they got real bad news because they are terrible versus number 2 wide receivers. I expect Rashid Shaheed to have his monster game today. And when somebody asks a question about him, I'll get into the outrageous stats with the Colts versus number 2 receivers.
All right, love that. Ike, clean sweep with Warren here?
Yeah.
All right. And then, guys, I just want to hit up some of these Reddit questions, so we'll go a little bit of rapid fire here. We already went Dak over Burrow in a previous question, so pick 2 here. Warren, Judkins, Hampton. Pick 2. Ike, go ahead. Warren, Judkins, Hampton.
Warren and Judkins.
Sorry, which Warren?
Tyler,
I'm
that's
a
good point. It could be Jalen. You're right. Yeah, that's a good
Jalen.
point.
Okay, then the last 2.
Okay, Judkins
Hampton and the other one.
Does he say if it's a PPR?
Does not.
If it's PPR, I would go Warren and Judkins. If it's not, I would go Judkins and Hampton.
Interesting, because Warren's lack of passing down work, though, I would think it wouldn't matter. I would still go, even in a full PPR, Hampton and Judkins. If Kenneth Gainwell wasn't there, maybe that changes, but Warren really has, he's probably going to have maybe not career low in catches, but certainly not what he's done in the last couple of years. Yeah, I like Jake.
Kyle, Burrow or May?
Drake May. I know he had his worst fantasy game yet of the season against the Bills, but it was okay. The rushing touchdowns were getting there, and it wasn't that he necessarily.
Stephon Diggs had his best game versus the Bills.
It's just weird, right? He just didn't throw any touchdowns. That was that's the only game this year Drake May hasn't thrown a touchdown in. Is that a trend or is that just a fluke? Right? I tend to think that's probably a fluke, and he's a safe floor rusher. So you're gonna be hard pressed, I think, to bench Drake. I've got him at QB4 this week. So in spite of that, again, knowing that game against the Bills is in the back of our minds, if that's his worst game of the season, I'm still putting him as a top
5. Jake Ferguson or Dallas Goedert, Keith?
Oh, Ferguson for sure.
Ferguson over Goedert.
Yeah, the Raiders are a really bad defense, but they're actually pretty good versus tight ends. I expect A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith to have a real opportunity to have monster games. And again, I talked about, Barkley seeing, hopefully for Barkley owners, his third 100-yard rushing game of the season, which who thought that after last season, Barkley would have 200-yard rushing games through freaking 14 weeks. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. Back to the comments here on the live stream. 18 PPR Superflex. Woof. Need a quarterback, Jackson, Burrow, or May. So many decisions here that you got to make in an 8-teamer. Ike, go ahead. Where are you going?
I wonder who his other quarterback is, but
I was first reading this question thinking we were picking 2 for the Superflex, but yeah, I guess if it's 8-team, maybe he has a Josh Allen as well as these 4 or these 3.
Yeah,
I'd go Drake May then if he has Josh Allen, so you have 2 in the same game. But it's really hard to not do Lamar Jackson against Cincy, so I think I go Lamar, even though he's been bad.
Here you go, Lamar. Okay, Keith.
Yeah, I'm going Lamar. I know it's been really bad, but he's still Lamar Jackson. I like the way he looked running around last week. Last week was more what you expect from Lamar when he has a bad game because he wasn't great. He still scored 22 points. Like, that's what Lamar has the capability of doing. The Bengals defense is not good. And I have a real feeling that either this week or next week, Lamar is going to have like one of those monster games that, only him and a handful of quarterbacks can have, where he has, 30, 40 points. So I would go Lamar. The only concern I have with May is just I think that New England is going to, and they should, try to run the ball down Buffalo's throat. That is Buffalo's biggest weakness. This is a game where they can win the division if they, win this game. And I think the easiest way to do that is to run on Buffalo, keep Josh Allen off the field. And I think that's going to be their game plan. So, and I agree with everything Cal said. May, if you have May, fire him up unless you have like a Lamar Jackson or somebody. But I definitely think that New England's going to try to run it a lot to where you should say the same thing for Baltimore, but we saw it just 2 weeks ago. Henry got 10 carries against Cincy. So,
yeah. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. We're going to go Josh Allen here.
Oh,
I believe. Everybody up.
I expect Allen to go Superman today.
You don't bench Josh Allen for basically anyone.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we got Neal starting at the running back right now. Should they hit waivers and start Monangai or Singletary instead? And then Niners or Eagles D. Ike, go ahead, take this one.
I think you should try and get Monangai on your team no matter what. And you probably could start him over Neal, even though Neal is getting some work. But you should get Monangai no matter what. And then I would do Niners defense, I think. Defense has been playing well lately.
Okay, Kyle, where are you going to go here? Devin Neal, Monangai, or Singletary, or did you go Niners D, Eagles D?
And looking at setting lineups, or like on Tuesday, first try to do things, I wasn't going to Singletary a lot. But then I plugged a lot of leagues into my start sit spreadsheet to help me make decisions. And Singletary was kind of coming out really great in a lot of them. And so I'd actually pick up Singletary and play him over Neal. Where do I have? I've got Singletary in half PPR at the RB24 this week. Especially we talked earlier about the fear, okay, Jackson Dart not running him as much. The one way to control that isn't to have him throw more, is to have him hand off more. Because when he's throwing, he could still scramble. So if you're the Giants, you're trying to protect him. The only way to protect him really is to just hand the ball off to Singletary. So I think the volume with Singletary could be there. Tracy is active, I think. I know there was injury concerns earlier, but I think he's off the injury report. But, I mean, since Cam Scadaboo's got hurt, Singletary's been pretty consistent, and the Washington defense isn't very good. So I love the matchup there. Certainly better than, say, Devin Neal against the Panthers defense. So I like playing Singletary. I say pick up Singletary and start him.
In the words of Corso, not so fast, my friend. Devin Neal last week among the Saints running back, led in snaps, routes, touches, fantasy points. He's going to see similar volume, which volume is king. But most importantly, this Panthers run D is not what it was earlier in the year. Over the last 3 weeks, they've allowed the 7th most rushing yards per game. And I think that Neal, with the combination of him catching some passes, and again, the volume, where I can't ever trust, the Giants to just give it, especially if Tracy's inactive, I think it's really close. But if Tracy's active, I just worry that he is going to split, even if it's, 60-40, 70-30, he's going to get less volume than Neal. And I actually expect the Saints to win today, and partly because they're going to lean on that run.
All right.
And I go with the Eagles, by the way. Kenny Pickett. That's all I got to say. Kenny Pickett.
I forgot about
I was
that.
just looking that up too. As much as Cam Ward's been a disappointment, I would rather play the defense playing Kenny Pickett. You're right.
All right. Then Kyle, go ahead here. Need one for the flex. Harvey, Marks, Olave, Devonta Smith, full point PPR. Woody Marks is another DFS play this week. I keep seeing a lot of talk about. So Kyle, where you go here?
I think I'm leaning Olave in full PPR. Just I mean, part of it, I think, also to get a Saints upset against the Panthers. Their best players are going to have to be their best players, and that is Chris Olave. So
That's reason.
I'm just trying to look at where I have him. I've got Olave and Devontae Smith back to back in rankings. So I feel like with the format, knowing it's full PPR, I think I would play one of those receivers. I'm leaning Olave.
Okay, Keith, we're going to go here. Harvey, Marks, Olave, Devonta Smith.
I do like Olave and Harvey for that matter this week, but Marks is one of my favorite plays just in general this week. And again, volume is king, which is, the big deal for me. He's averaging now 20 carries per game over the last month. We saw him get 26 last week, and that was falling 19 the week before. And those were against pretty good run defenses. And Indy and Kansas City, Arizona's run defense is not good. It's actually awful. So, and again, it's a must-win game for Houston. And if you have a defense like Houston does, what are you going to do, right? You're going to try to just make sure you don't turn the ball over and, let them rock. So I expect Marks to, be around what he scored last week, maybe even more, kind of in that 15 to 20 point range in a full PPR league.
All right. Ike, break the tie here. Marks or Olave?
Marks. I actually like all four of them, but I'm going Marks.
Fair there.
Yeah, there doesn't seem like there's a bad decision there. I think I put all of them in the
Agreed.
24.
Trust your gut.
Ike, go ahead here with Likely or Harold Fannin in the frigid cold temperatures here.
Oh, man.
Shador
really likes him. Shador likes him a lot, but still, it's really hard for me to bench a player that's going against the Bengals. And I know what Kyle said about Andrews, but I still think Likely is the better tight end now, so I'm going Likely.
All right, Keith, Likely or Fannin for you?
You just heard me talk about how much I love Likely and, all those statistics, but there's some statistics for Fannin that are even better. You look since Shador has taken over, 25% target share. That is first among all tight ends in that span. He's averaging 65.7 receiving yards. That is second among all tight ends, and he's scoring 15.4 fantasy points per game, which also ranks second among tight ends. And I think the Bears, the Browns defense, I don't know what happened, but the fact that Tony Pollard looked like Dale Sayers last week is probably not a good sign when you're facing a Bears rushing attack that's really good. So I expect the Browns to be down, and there is no doubt. 1 out of every 4 passes from Shador Sanders is going to Fannin. So it's just, again, volume for me is a key thing. And, once you get to the playoffs, it's like you want the opportunities because we can't predict what somebody's going to do. We can, speculate. But if somebody's going to see significant targets, significant rush attempts, that is just more opportunities. And more opportunities gives you more, chance to score points. So as much as I like Likely, I would definitely go with Harold Fannin.
All right, Kyle, go ahead and answer. Then we got a bunch of active inactives that I'll run through real quick. So who do you got here, Kyle?
Yeah,
Likely?
if Likely and Andrews were one player, I think you just play them, right?
Right. Yeah.
The problem is, to Ike's point, you love playing a tight end against the Bengals, but if it's split between two guys pretty evenly, that kind of loses some of that luster. So the fact that Fannin is the
and Njoku's out, I meant to mention that, which is huge.
That's true.
But honestly, I don't even know if that makes much of a difference because even when Njoku's been in, Fannin has been the number one target on the team really most of the year for most of the quarterbacks, but especially it seems like with
I just mean he'll be on the field a little bit more than normal. Like he plays almost like 85-90% of the snaps in games that Njoku misses compared to like 80% in the ones that he does.
And I guess he especially plays more snaps at tight end because I think that the way they get around that is when Njoku's on the field, they usually play Fannin in the slot as a wide receiver. So now he'll play more as a traditional tight end. I don't know if that might be dependent on which defense you're facing, if that's an advantage or disadvantage, but I think he's going to get targets consistently every week. So.
All right, everybody. Roma Dudesay Foot said he'll play according to Stacey Dales. Debo Samuel, illness active. Chris Rodriguez, groin inactive for week.
Oh,
15.
JCM, fire him up.
Yeah,
It's
sure
Bill
gotta raise-
season, ladies and gentlemen.
Parker Washington, hip active. Amari DeMarcado, ankle active. Cedric Tillman, concussion rib active. Quentin Johnston, groin is inactive for week 15. Rashad Bateman, ankle is inactive for week 15.
That's good for
Josh
likely,
Palmer,
too.
ankle active week 15. Nick Chubb, ribs inactive for
Oh,
week 15.
let's go.
Woody Marks.
So
yeah,
that's
right.
we had some
Hold on,
big
Mark.
ones there, guys, no doubt.
That's what she said too, by the way.
Keith, go ahead, take this. Hurts or Stafford here? Tough question here.
I don't think it is. And this
You
is
don't?
probably going to shock people because normally I always say, take the running quarterback. Stafford is playing the Lions, who excel at stopping the run and are awful versus the pass. Like, I expect Puka and Adams to just go absolutely bananas. I think Stafford has thrown multiple touchdown passes and 55 out of the last 58 weeks. I made that up, but it's been a lot of multiple passing touchdown games. So I like Stafford. I also just think that game's going to have a lot more points in it because I also believe that, we saw this Rams defense is not, it's good, but it's not like unstoppable. So I expect the Lions, with St. Brown and J-Mo and the weapons they have, Gibbs, to also put up points. So I actually like Stafford a good bit more this week. And again, I mentioned earlier, a lot of that is also just, I think Barkley should have a big game versus a bad Raiders run defense.
Sure. Yeah, just to allude to your game total that you talked about, it's 54.5, guys.
Yeah.
Massive total. Matt and I talked about that earlier today.
The highest of the week, and Eagles Raiders is at 38.5.
Oh my God. I didn't know it was that low. Wow. Browns Bears has more.
Kenny Pickett, baby. Kenny Pickett.
Has less, or more than that. That's wild.
Bears Browns is 38.5 on DraftKings. Vegas Eagles is actually 37.5 on DraftKings.
Wow.
I still got that way lower.
I like the over there. Just
Kenny Pickett, baby. But yeah, Genty can.
Kyle, you got Stafford ranked higher than Hurts, or do you got Hurts?
I do. Yeah. One of my friends asked me this question earlier in the week, and so going through my rankings, it really.
So that proves I'm smart right there.
To that top 5, and I agree with Stafford. I think just that game environment you want. Give me Stafford. He's it's a low floor way of doing it, but he's thrown so many touchdowns and the yards just keep accumulating. Like every week, he's pretty safe for throwing touchdowns, which is not usually something we want to rely on. But the stretch Stafford's been on this year with Adams and Puka, I think he'll throw multiple touchdowns pretty easily.
Could you imagine his career if you could start it over and give him like the weapons and coaches that he's had, the last few years?
I mean, he did have Megatron, like the coaching stuff.
Golden Tate. The one thing, the Lions gave him.
Did you just say Golden Tate? Come on, bro. Like, he's a good receiver. He's not in the same class as Devontae Adams, Puka, and Calvin Johnson.
For sure. But I mean, he had Calvin Johnson though, right? Like he's had the weapons. But you're right. Coaching was a huge problem.
Yeah, no chance.
That was the issue there.
Ike, we're gonna go here, Dak or Brock. We pretty much went Dak all everybody earlier, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'll give you a defensive question here: Rams or Browns defense?
Man, that's tough.
Oh God, you gotta do.
I think
you can't do Rams defense because I think that's gonna be a shootout. So Browns, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's Browns.
Pains me to say because I'm Bear fan, but
freezing cold. I can't imagine that game go off.
You get like 5 points for the defense just for sacks, probably. So
if the Saints are available, which they are in a lot of leagues, I really do like the Saints defense today against the Panthers. I expect Bryce Young to do what he does every once in a while, which is have a really bad game and turn it over a few times.
Yeah, I like that too, actually, Keith. Yeah, because I'm looking at my rankings and they're both outside the top 15. So Cody, like, you really sure there's no defenses better that are available?
Yeah, Pittsburgh might be out there. Go Pittsburgh.
Yes, I like
that. That's another one. Yep.
Yeah, Pittsburgh or the Saints, like those are two that could very easily be there.
Kyle, go ahead here. Jameson Williams, Henderson, Javonte Williams in the flex. I was going to say Jameson Williams, almost lock him in here. Then I saw Javonte Williams' name here.
You play Jay Williams. I'll let you decide beyond what that is. But I like Javonte. I believe I have him hired.
I think that's where I would go to, Keith. Are you going to go Javonte over J-Mo here?
I am not. I think that we've seen that Jameson has arrived 16.6 points or more in 5 of his last 6. In that span, 42 targets, 24 receptions, 3 games of 90-plus yards. Most important, the 4 touchdowns. And again, I expect the Lions to be down because I think that the Rams are going to score pretty much at will. And when they are throwing a lot, that is very good for J-Mo and Amon-Ra St. Brown, because remember, there's no Laporta. So I still love J-Mo this week.
All right, I break the side. Jameson Williams, Javonte Williams, flex 1.
Jameson. This is about the time when he went off last year, too. It just seems to be the fantasy playoffs is his time, so.
Okay.
And to be fair, we are talking 54.5 over under, right? Like that's a great game environment.
He is a notorious slow starter. I was arguing with this with somebody earlier this year. If you go look at his career, every season he's played, he starts really slow, and then
he's either dealing with an injury or suspension or something stupid.
No, that's fair too.
Yeah, no, that's context there.
Ike, where are you going to go here, Kelsey or Fannin star 1? We've been pretty on top.
It's got to be Fannin. Even though I like Kelsey still, he had a bad game. He'll bounce back, but I'm going Fannin.
Keith?
Yeah. Rashee Rice is the guy in Kansas City. His numbers versus zone are absolutely outrageous. Chargers run zone at the highest rate in the NFL, 80%. And then I just went through those stats about Fannin being either first or second among tight ends since Shador took over in target rate, receiving yards, and fantasy points.
Kyle, any pushback there?
Kelsey is weird right now. Since the bye week, he's alternated top 10 or top 5 tight end performances with single-digit fantasy scoring performances. So the fact, like, if we're following that trend, he should be a top 5 tight end this week, right? One of his best games of the year did come against the Chargers. Now, context: no Rashee Rice, and I'm pretty sure Xavier Worthy got hurt almost instantly in that game.
He did.
It's the one that hurt him.
Literally the first.
Oh, right, yeah, they ran into each other, right? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Right. And so, I think I'd be hesitant if that was all that Kelsey had done, but we've seen him have these top 5 games recently. So I think in this game, do or die for the Chiefs. Like this is there's no more saving players anymore for them. And I think that's what the play we've had of Kelsey in recent years. Although his best games will always be in the playoffs. Well, this is the playoffs for the Chiefs, so I think they undoubtedly have much more to play for than the Browns do. So you can see them pressing and just like the pass attempts will certainly be a lot higher. I think more opportunities for Kelsey.
Right on. Now we got Danny Dimes here in the chat. Sorry to hear about your Achilles, man. For real. PPR League, Olave, Metcalf, Flowers, pick 2. Kyle, assuming you're going to go Olave here, then who are you taking here out of Metcalf or Flowers?
Yeah, I know that's really close between those two. I'm going to go Flowers. Yeah, I'd go Olave, Flowers.
Same.
All right, Ike, you're not in agreement.
Yeah.
Keith, any pushback here? You to go Olave, Flowers as well?
Nope, I am. Of course, I had DK Metcalf in several leagues and had him, of course, on my bench as he went nuclear last week. But again, Miami is a team that you run on. That is the most effective way. They're actually pretty good versus pass and get pressure too, which is so far this season meant that Metcalf's worst games have been when Pittsburgh's facing a defense that can get to the quarterback.
And then Keith, we're going to go here. Tyler Warren, Dalton Kincaid.
It's Kincaid for me. Like you look what he did the first game this season versus New England. He absolutely cooked them. And that is, I think, arguably the biggest weakness on New England is being able to cover a tight end. He scored a touchdown now in 4 of his last 7 games. And New England is so good versus the run. This is actually one of the few times Buffalo's not going to be able to do what, their goal has been all season, which is to pound, James Cook and then a little Josh Allen in there, and then they play action. I think they're going to actually have to come out throwing. And that's very good for Dalton Kincaid, who for all intents and purposes, I think he is now their number one, basically wide receiver and finally living up to the height after being called a bust. And I'd just like to add, we got to stop judging these tight ends, especially these athletic ones, until they've been in the league for a few years, because we see over and over again, they struggle at the beginning and then they kind of catch on like that 3rd, 4th season.
Yeah, I would lean Kincaid as well. Kyle, you as well?
Yeah, if you're looking just at targets and route run data, it's maybe not great for Kincaid, but he's been so efficient. And I mean, honestly, like the Bills, he really does operate as their number one wide receiver, which isn't saying much. They spread the ball out so much, but
Right.
Yeah, I like Kincaid as a top 5 tight end this week.
Ike, go ahead, take this one. Need one for the flex. Jaylen Warren, Zay Flowers, Romeo Dobbs, Odunze, full point PPR. I think he could cross off the last two.
I'm going to say Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers. Keith, Warren, Flowers, Dobbs, Odunze.
I would either go Flowers or Warren. I think I would lean Flowers. Again, you talk about must-win situations. That is where we are at for Baltimore, and Cincinnati really doesn't have a lockdown corner. So if, Baltimore can get back to running it effectively, which they should be able to against the Bengals, that is when Flowers is just unstoppable, because defenses obviously are creeping up, adding extra man in the box to stop Henry and Lamar, and Flowers is a really difficult receiver to cover one-on-one.
Cap, anything?
Yeah, I like Flowers. We'll keep you unanimous there.
Dobbs, Reed, Worthy, Judy, and then need one for the flex. Hunt, Charbonnet, Bannon here. Oof.
I don't know why people are asking about Dobbs against the Denver Broncos defense. I get, if Christian Watson only gets Surtain the whole game, like maybe there's some advantageous coverage, but I mean, with Jaden Reed back, I think you easily, between the two Packers receivers, you want Reed over Dobbs.
Agreed there, yeah.
Well, and Denver's, number 2 cornerback was Riley Moss. He's really good too.
I honestly think I'd rather play Worthy over either Packers receiver. So yeah, I think that would be my wide receiver. I know it's been a bit of a disappointment of late, but again, like it's crunch time for the Chiefs. Like this is when like we could see that big long touchdown reception from Worthy because they're trying so much stuff. So
yep. Keith, anything else here? Where you
just
go?
You're the resident Bears fan, right? What's the deal with your secondary? I know you got Jalen Johnson back. Like, can they, now that the Browns have a guy that can throw the ball down the field, we've seen Judy kind of, start making some noise. Like, are you concerned about him this week?
The issue that I have, Keith, is Jalen Johnson hasn't looked like his same self, and he's been on a pitch count here the last couple of weeks. They lost Kyler Gordon again, hurt himself in warm-ups during
I didn't know that.
Last week. He got placed on IR today.
Oh,
so
my God.
There. I don't know if Tyreek Stevenson's back. We all know the story about Nashawn Wright at this point. He's had a solid year. But, yeah, the secondary.
Linebackers are beat up.
I don't know if I like Judy here if I could do it in the weather, because how much are they going to be?
That's a good point. Yeah, I'll go. Cal made a lot of good points. I'll go with Worthy. That makes sense.
I'm all right with Worthy as well. Like, not in agreement.
Not for flex, you got to do Fannin
for the flex. Fannin in the flex here, guys, over Hunt and Charbonnet.
I
think
don't mind
so.
Hunt. I don't mind Hunt. I think he'll still. I know I'm starting him in a couple spots, but
okay.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't say full PPR or half PPR, but I would definitely leave Charbonnet on the bench.
We're gonna go Burrow over an injured Herbert. Missing
yes.
2 tackles here. Okay.
I know. I thought Keith was going to talk about the offensive line, but we'll go quickly. We don't need to. But like the Chargers, all one is beat up. Herbert's beat up, and with the 2 games since with his broken hand, he hasn't hit 15 fantasy points yet. There's no ceiling. I think, especially in the fantasy playoffs, you have to go with Burrow.
Jack, Lamar over Dart here.
Yeah, I love Dart, but not as much to start him over Lamar.
Okay, I love that confidence because my co-manager and I, we've been dealing with this decision all week. Like, what direction do we go in? And Lamar Jackson. I can't really just say Jackson. I think it applies to both. But Lamar Jackson has been in the lineup the whole week, and we've thought about it, debated it, and I think we're sticking with Lamar Jackson.
All right, Pacheco, Corum, Tracy, Christian Watson, Jaden Higgins, Pittman, McMillan, Ricky Pierce, all starting 2, flexing 1 here.
I've got one easy answer for sure. You have to play Tedrow McMillan.
Correct. Yeah,
I was going to say you probably have to play Christian Watson too.
That's what I was going to say.
So we got 2 there, even with the tough
back
matchup.
To another decision I've been debating: Watson versus Pittman in a league. It's half PPR, half point per first down. I
would do Watson over Pittman.
that would push even more towards Watson. In a straight PPR, maybe that's closer, but
I actually don't mind Ricky Pearsall either.
I've also heard
He's
some
got a
love
good
this
game.
week
He
about
should be up there.
Pearsall against Tennessee as well. Yeah.
And I know the one league where I've got Pearsall, I'm not even considering him until he does something.
Okay.
So can I add some context
Absolutely.
for Watson? The Broncos run man defense 33% of the time. That's one of the highest rates in the league. And I don't think people are giving Christian Watson the credit he deserves what he does versus
Christian
man.
I saw what he did against the Bears in man last week. He absolutely
2.93 yards per route run. That is sixth among all wide receivers. 0.77 fantasy points per route and 2.66 fantasy points per target, both ranking fourth among wide receivers. And then, I mean, at this point, he ranks top 12 in fantasy points per game of wide receivers, yards per route run, first downs per route run, yards per target and reception, QB rating per target. And we saw last week that he doesn't have to have huge volume because he's so explosive to have a big game. I mean, he took 4 targets and turned them into, this monster game with 2 touchdowns and like 90 yards. I expect him again with how much Denver plays man and the fact that Jordan Love's not getting the credit he deserves. He's playing an incredible quarterback right now. I expect him to have at least one really big play again this week.
So Dion, we narrowed it down to you for Tedero, McMillan, Christian Watson, and it's hard to have.
For running back, I would go Corum if that's what he's asking.
It's just 3 here.
Or is that all the players?
Yeah, just 3 out of this hodgepodge.
See, I think I'd probably just go 3 wide receivers. I
don't worry about the running backs.
Pittman.
Yeah.
All right, right on here. Start 2, Swift, Dottle, Monangai, and Bill. Are we all in on the Bill train with no Rodriguez here? Do we have to?
5.8 yards per carry. Like Joe Matz has talked about for the entire second half of the season. He's been proved right because actually their numbers are going up. They also, by the way, allow over 150 rushing yards per game. That you want any running back that's going to get significant touches against this Giants defense. And with Mariota, I think that they're going to obviously lean on the run. So as crazy as it sounds, he would be my first play out of these 4, which I know that seems insane, but I'm looking at it from a point that, yes, McNichols might be involved, but that's going to be more, pass catching, third down, etc. And we've seen him, when given opportunities, have some big games this year. So I would go with him. And then it's tough. I think I'd lean Swift just because he's consistently been more, but I'm okay with Swift or Dowdle.
So I was first thinking of between Swift and Dowdle. I guess with
I can't
the
agree
Bears,
with that.
I know the Browns, they just allowed a huge game to Tony Pollard. I think like a career high game for Tony Pollard. But that seems to be the exception. Most of the year, the Browns have been a really tough matchup against running backs. So I think I'd lean into that and say Dowdle and Krosky. But as Pete said, I don't hate Swift either.
I said JCM and Swift.
All right, then keep it with you here. Ike, Chuba or Monangai or Aaron Jones full point PPR?
That one, I'm probably going to go Aaron Jones. He's in the somewhat 50-50 of Mason, but I still think he gets somewhat more of the work, more than Monangai will.
Well, I mean, all these guys are splitting, right? Whereas Jones might be the only one of these 3 that's actually a lead back. Chuba's maybe the more.
And we'll get pass catching more than Monangai.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I like Aaron Jones.
I do too.
All right, where are we going to go here? AT, PPR, need a QB, have 3 great ones, but who would be motivated to win? Jackson. Oh, we did that one already, right?
Yeah, Jackson.
Just before as well here. I'll put it up. This we kind of got.
Oh, likely or Warren. We went.
I
think we've had likely questions. We've had Warren questions. I don't think we've had one with both of them yet.
Okay.
I'm going likely.
Ike's going to go likely.
I'd go Warren. I wouldn't drop him to say low as say the Ravens tight ends, for instance, just because they're splitting.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I actually think that Warren is the safer play, but likely has the higher ceiling.
That's fair. In that matchup, that makes sense.
All right. Javonte Williams, ETN, Montgomery, Hampton, need 2 here.
ETN.
Well, I'm going to say one of those things doesn't belong with the other. There's no way I'm playing David Montgomery. No,
There's no way I'm playing any of those
I'm doing the first
over
two.
ETN.
I'm doing the first two.
Devontae and ETN over Montgomery and Hampton, guys. All good with that?
Yeah. I mean, ETN again has just been like 32 rush attempts weeks 5 through 7. Post-bye, he's averaging 18 attempts per game. And do not forget, this is a Jets defense that just allowed Achane to go over 100 yards on 8 touches and then allowed Jalen Wright come in, rush for 100 yards and a touchdown. And then if that wasn't bad enough, they're like, hey, Ollie Gordon, go ahead and get the hat trick. So they had 3 backs score against them. Since Quinnen Williams has been gone, this Jets run defense is atrocious. Remember what Bijan did to him the week before. So I think ETN has a chance to have a monster game.
Tune might even get in the end zone too if you're in a deep league.
Totally. If the Jets cannot keep up, which I don't think they can with Brady Cook. Where did he play college ball, by the way?
Missouri.
Okay,
because I keep listening to the Roto World football show, and Patrick Daugherty's a Missouri fan. So he every time they talk about Brady Cook, he always mentions Missouri quarterback Brady Cook, but not good for the NFL.
Nice.
I've got a league with Devontae and Etienne, so I'm with you on this one, Dion, and I'm riding those two, and hope we both can succeed with those two.
Hell yeah!
All right, we just gotta let's try to run through these as quick as possible, fellas. We got a ton of questions here.
First two, J-Mo and McConkey for me.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, so let's rip through this. Need 2 wide receivers and a flex. Diggs, Wandale, Ladd, Allen, Ken Walker, full point PPR.
First 3.
I'm good with that.
I'd consider putting in Walker over one of those receivers. Now, which one is the tougher question? I think it might be simpler just to go with 3 receivers.
Yeah, I would go the Diggs, Wandale, Ladd.
All right. Headed for playoffs, baby. Sit 1. Judkins, Henderson, Waddle, Kyron.
Waddle. Miami has completely changed their offense post, bye. They are now a run-heavy team. He's had one, I think, top 20 wide receiver week since that. Yeah. So I really
weather might be bad. Pittsburgh's
I would go with all the backs. I know the matchup for Kyron's not great, but how many times have we seen this where we doubt Kyron and then he goes bananas?
Yep. And then we're gonna sit Waddle there. Then we're starting one Henry, Loveland, or Likely. Kyle, go ahead here. Where do you go?
I'd go Likely at this point. I know I've against him in a lot of choices, but at this, I mean, Ravens face the Bengals. Most points allowed to tight ends. Hunter Henry plays the Bills. The least amount of points to tight ends. So the 2 extremes there, I'll pick Likely at this point. And with when Cole Kmet's in, Loveland he splits
that get the volume. Yep.
Need help setting the lineup here. Half PPR, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex, please. AJ Brown, DK, Breece Hall, Harvey, Neal, Dowdle, Slayton, Pearsall. Rodriguez is out.
I like Neal and
getting worse and worse as we go on. Sorry.
For the running backs, receivers, AJ Brown is a must start with it's just so ironic that the Philadelphia passing offense is, and at the same time, AJ Brown is ascending. I don't understand how that works out, but it does. Yeah. And in this situation, I probably would play Metcalf.
Yeah, over the other running back options, right? Yep. I'm all right with that.
For the 2 running backs, we said Breece Hall and Harvey.
Yeah,
I agree.
You good with that, Kyle? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Jefferson or Hampton, half point PPR flex.
You talking about Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, that's what I would assume.
I doubt it's Jamar Jefferson. I mean, I like Hampton a lot this week. Coming back first week back from injury, they gave him enough work, and again with the concerns with Herbert's health, I expect the Chargers are going to try and run a ton against the Chiefs. You don't want to subjugate Herbert to the Spagnuolo blitzing as much as you can. So I like Hampton for the volume.
I think Dallas's defense still is pretty bad, so I'm going to give Justin Jefferson.
This has to be the game he does good.
Indoors, at Dallas, it's a prime time game. Big time players make big time plays in big time situations. I'm not saying,
and we know it's big time for us. It's the fantasy football playoffs. Their season's done. They're invited to invite DJ Snow in the playoffs, which I think most of us on the screen would love that absolutely for them to have.
From my guy Keith here, we're gonna go Slayton or Worthy. Keith, how about you answer?
From one Keith to another, I would go Slayton. He had double-digit points last week. Washington's secondary is just atrocious. It's awful. I actually think that sneaky plays this week are all the like that may be the sneaky shootout too. Like, 'cause it's not like the Giants defense is good. I actually like Terry McLaurin from that game. I like JCM. I like Mariota. I like Slayton. I like Wan'Dale Robinson, Singletary, Dart. Like, I think that game's gonna have a lot of points. Those are two of the worst defenses in the NFL.
Give us Slayton there, and then Kyron or Judkins. Kyle, go ahead here.
Yeah, take that one, Cal. I don't want it.
I think I have Kyron ranked higher as PPR. I mean, so in half PPR, I have Kyron ranked higher than Judkins. I imagine going to full PPR, that would be even more of a disparity because Judkins, like, it doesn't seem like he's catching that many passes this year. Now, that being said, Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford are both out. So is Judkins just going to play the whole time and catch?
Yeah, Judkins.
I think
volume is king. That's a good point, Cal.
Bears too.
He's going to get fed.
That's a good point.
Good point. Playoff time. 3 wide receivers at a flex needed. Pick between Sutton, Olave, Smith, Myers, Watson, and Judkins. Full point PPR. Ouch, Clayton.
Definitely
Olave,
playing Myers.
Watson.
Definitely playing Olave. I think you have to play Christian Watson with what he does versus man defenses and how much Denver runs man. That's where I get a little, tough, like between Sutton, Smith.
I agree with that. For sure. Judkins is the strongest flex, I think.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
So, Myers. Sorry, you said Myers, Olave, Watson?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Might go Sutton over Watson just to have better. Like the cornerback matchup is better for Sutton than it is Watson. But I think Olave and Myers seem like the two stronger. Actually, Devontae Smith? No, I'd go Olave, Smith, Myers. I forget the Broncos-Packers game. The defenses are too good. So I'd say it.
Okay. May or Burrow, we're going to go Drake May, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm going with Burrow.
You'd go Burrow, Keith. Okay. And then play 2, CMC, both Bears running backs, or Kenneth Gainwell. We're going to go CMC with the back injury still. Okay, Joe wasn't.
What are we doing here? Yes, of course we are.
I go Swift probably.
And then go Swift.
And that way, you know what? And if CMC's out for whatever reason, you can just throw Gainwell in because he's playing Monday nights. You know you'll always have him as a backup option. So
good call.
Hold Gainwell as that backup option.
Then are we going to go DK, Sutton, Monungai, or Gainwell in the flex here?
Unless we want to flex both Bears running backs, which I wouldn't do.
Sutton and Gainwell.
All right. 6-point passing per touchdown. McCarthy, Sanders, Mariota.
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah. I mean, the scoring settings, regardless.
Very safe. He's going to run. He's going to score 15 points. And again, the Giants' defense is awful.
Because you see 6-point passing, you think, okay, McCarthy, the matchup against the Cowboys, like he might have more chances to throw more touchdowns. If it's 4-point, I think. Either way, I'm going Mario.
I was thinking maybe even Shedeur can have a good game with 6 pass touchdowns too. I mean, you never know, but yeah, I'd go.
I don't know. Wildcat QB Judkins. Maybe you know what they're going to give Judkins already.
Yeah, they don't really want Shedeur making decisions in the red zone once they get real close down there. So it scares me there. Flex 2, Justin Jefferson, Devin Neal, Jalen Warren, Terry McLaurin.
McLaurin is a great play today. One of my favorite DFS plays. The volume's there. The Giants are, I think, 3rd worst defense versus number 1 wide receivers. And we know Debo is playing, but he's like battling an illness and all kinds. So like he's definitely in there. And then I would slightly lean Jefferson. But again, I really do like Devin Neal because he's going to get a ton of volume. In Carolina, 7th most rushing yards the last 3 weeks. And it's not like they've been playing, these great rushing attacks in all those games.
You've convinced me, Keith, because at first I was almost thinking Jalen Warren against the Dolphins defense. But after those stats with McLaurin, I think I would just play both receivers and say McLaurin and Jefferson.
Yep.
All right, both receivers it is. Montgomery.
Like those are some of the worst defenses. Sorry, Dylan.
Montgomery or Bam Knight here?
I've got Zonovan Knight higher.
Zonovan Knight.
Yeah, I'll even be trusting him in a league or two.
What's his name's not back, right?
Yeah, Benson's out for the year.
Yeah,
then I would
go. McCardo's back.
McCardo is back, yeah.
I'd still go Knight.
Browns or Denver's defense? Or pick up the 49ers?
I might pick
up the Tennessee.
Niners.
Pick up the 49ers? Yeah.
No, I think the because it's still Browns or Denver, meaning, okay, you've already rostered both. Because I think those are two defenses that are tough to cut. But if you have both, maybe that makes it easier. Okay, I can just go through the matchups at this point. And I mean, who's got good matchups coming up?
Denver has Kansas City coming up. I know that.
I mean, neither playoff matchup is great.
Chiefs,
so
which is
I wouldn't hesitate to drop either defense for the 49ers.
All right. Like, where are you going here between Juwan Johnson, Theo Johnson?
Johnson, obviously.
Johnson.
I'm gonna go Theo this time, even though Juwan's got just as much chance to be good.
I like Theo Washington's worse versus tight ends and against pass in general.
We're gonna go Jackson Dart over Brock here.
Yes.
Close, but yes, I would.
Devonta Smith, Debo, or Scary Terry. We're gonna go McLaurin.
Yes, sir.
I might start Devontae Smith against the Raiders, actually, but not Debo. I mean, we don't even know. I mean, is Debo playing?
Yeah, I think they said likely to play.
He's not on the inactive list. So
I really like McLaurin, so I go McLaurin.
Unless they just threw him on IR, he's playing.
Ken Walker, Aaron Jones, full point PPR.
Aaron Jones.
Yep.
Ken Walker. They're both splitting. Right. Jones is kind of dealing with injuries. I like Walker.
Jaden Reed, Malik Washington, Josh Downs, full point PPR. I'd probably go.
I'm going Josh Downs.
This might be the time he does
the biggest. That's what I was saying. I think he is actually the biggest benefactor of Phillip Rivers starting this game. He is elite at getting open and getting open quickly, and he runs a lot of the underneath stuff. To Kyle's point earlier about, like, I think that Pierce and Pittman are going to really be hurt by Rivers being in there.
Kyle, what does your half PPR rankings say here for tight end? He'd like to rank him here.
I think it goes Kelsey, Schultz, Theo Johnson, Gadsden. I know I was debating Theo Johnson, Schultz in the league, and I'm going with Schultz over Theo. So I think I've got Kelsey, Schultz, Theo. Gadsden.
All right, full point PPR: Swift, Tyrone, Tracy, or Metcalf.
Swift.
I like Metcalf, but yeah, definitely Swift over Tracy.
All right. Need a flex, full point PPR: Watson or Jaden Higgins? Give us Christian Watson, right?
Yep.
Go.
Full point.
Same question.
Full point. Yep.
Swift.
Rodriguez is now. Should I flex Bill over
Yes.
fantasy PPR? You should. Yes.
5.8 yards per carry, over 150 rushing yards per game.
Half point PPR. We're gonna go Christian Watson over Ramondre Stevenson.
Ramondre had a great game against the Bills last time, but we expect Travion to now have that great game against the Bills.
Sure.
Stevenson to do nothing.
Kincaid or Kelsey? We had a similar question earlier.
Kincaid.
Right? Kincaid.
Yeah, there. It's the King of Cade.
Start only one here. Woody Marks, Devin Neal, Ken Walker. We're gonna go Woody.
Marks with Chubb being out. Like, again, I really like Neal, but Marks is gonna like Neal see, a majority of the volume.
Cody, we have not had a word here on McCaffrey.
He's playing. He's gonna play, and he's gonna feast.
Bill or Bam? JCM,
Bill,
now, right?
Bill.
All right. Hello. Need help with one of the running back spots and 2 flex spots. Full point PPR. Devin Neal, Addison, Dowdle, Hall, Ken Walker, McConkey.
I think I'd go all backs here. Well, actually, no. I'd probably add Ladd. So I go Ladd, Neal, and then either Walker, Dowdle. I would lean Walker slightly.
I like Ladd, Hall, and Walker instead of Neal.
That's what I'd say. But I'd actually do Ladd, Hall, and Neal.
Okay. So not Addison, not Dowdle for sure. Like, none of us want.
Yeah.
we did that one, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
just without Gesicki, who's last.
Devontae Adams or Justin Jefferson.
Devontae
Adams here, right?
Devontae, anytime touchdown bet too.
Yeah. This year, the production hasn't even been close.
Start 2 of these 3 full point PPR. Waddell, Michael Wilson, Devin Neal. Who's the sit here?
Wilson for sure, I think. I know the matchup's tough, but
I'd start the 2 receivers, but again, I think Devin Neal is going to definitely outscore Michael Wilson and has a good chance to outscore Wandell, but I don't think I have the guts to start Neal over those 2 guys.
Yeah, that's a great point there, Keith. Yeah. Start 2 here. Singletary, Pollard, Franklin. All right.
Singletary, and who is Tennessee? The Niners?
Yeah.
I'd say Singletary and
He's
Pollard.
been doing better than Franklin, but Pat Bryant, I'm pretty sure, is out. So
that's a good
just Singletary and Franklin.
I'm gonna change my answer. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's big.
We don't know for sure. I think he's still. I mean, that's a later game, right? So we'll not know for sure, but it does look like Pat Bryant is trending on missing.
Dak over Purdy, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and then Theo Johnson, Travis Kelce here. I think this was
that one. I'm doing Kelce.
Correct.
Theo
Kelce. Theo. Kyle, break it.
Yeah, I like Kelce.
All right.
We talked a lot.
We got one last one here from our guy Mike. Loveland, Burden, Vele, Malik Washington, PPR. Give me Luther.
See, I like Vele.
I do too.
The Saints.
Yep.
I think with Odunze, if you know what, Dylan, if Odunze wasn't active, I probably would go. Just Odunze in there.
Agreed.
All right. Love it, guys. Great stuff as always. We'll be here. Week 17 is our last week for this show. So make sure to come check us out for the last couple weeks. Ike's still doing his injury impact article that comes out Mondays. Kyle, I'm assuming you're still doing the goal line article through the
goal line guide. We'll go right through to week 17, so that'll be available for everyone through their fantasy football play.
Love it. Yep, that comes out Thursdays. Make sure to check out the Dicey Six Pack Pod with Kyle, Jamie Parag as well. But yeah, until next week. Kyle and Ike, we'll talk to you guys. Keith, I'll hang out if you'll have me.
I would love you to.
Take care, guys.
All right. I'll see you, Kyle and Ike. Cool. All right, Keith, go ahead. Break this DFS slate down for me, man. Because
all right. So let me ask you something. For cash, do you think that my thought process this week is I'm playing Puka, I'm playing CMC, and then I'm figuring it out? Do you agree or disagree with that?
If you're okay with Christian McCaffrey, Joe's okay with Christian McCaffrey, didn't move him from his rankings. And it seems like David, the Discord, is okay with Christian McCaffrey. So I'm not going to push back on you guys here, Keith, about that.
So, see, and again, I understand the concerns, but I just also want to add, this is PPR. He's got 85 receptions. That's 6 in the entire NFL. But more importantly, like his 25.7 points per game, that leads all backs. But he's even better this year when facing defenses that rank 20th or worse versus opposing running backs. Tennessee, by the way, ranks 21st. CMC is averaging in those 6 games this year 31.6 points per game versus defenses ranked 20th or worse. That's nearly 6 points more than his season average. And to me, what's even more impressive, it's 5.6 points more than his absolutely absurd expected fantasy point per game total, which again, his expected fantasy point total is 26 points. It's absurd. So that's where I'm starting. Knowing that, it limits at quarterback what I'm going to do, right? Now, we did get a huge break just now with Chris Rodriguez being ruled out, and now you can get JCM in your lineup for 4,400. So that helps this a lot, and I will be, kind of changing a lot of my lineups accordingly. But QB this week, I'm looking all guys 5,700 or cheaper. First one's Trevor Lawrence, just been extremely consistent of late. 19 points or more, 6 of his last 9, including the last 3. He's throwing multiple. He only threw multiple touchdowns twice in his first 10 games. Now all of a sudden he's done it in 3 straight. My boy Jackson Dart shouldn't surprise anybody. 5,600. I know that streak of 18.6 points or more ended, but again, that was against a good New England defense. Washington is not a good defense, and if you need to, hear the case why, JJ McCarthy just torched him. Okay, yes, that guy just torched him. That's bad. It's real bad. And even with that 13.6 point total versus the Pats 2 weeks ago, he's still averaging 23 points per game over his last 6 starts. But the guy actually having the most lineups right now is Marcus Mariota, 5K versus the Giants. Okay. He's just safe. And this is cash, right? Like I'm looking for at least 3 times the salary. That's 15 points. And I mean, if you just look at he scored 16.4 points or more in 5 of his 6 starts this year. He's averaged 19.4 points over his last 3 starts. And what makes him so safe is that rushing upside. I mean, 126 rushing yards over the last 3. So even without a touchdown, that's 12.6 points over the last 3 games just running. So I think he's extremely safe. And like I said, I think the Giants are going to score points. So now, having said that, I love Lamar. Lamar is an extreme value this week. I think he's 6K exactly. You can pair him with Likely. That's under 10K to get Lamar with the tight end that has a great matchup. Even him and Flowers is not that outrageous. So I do want to say that. I think Allen is going to have a monster game. You know, he's Superman. And I think that, again, this is Allen's best chance to win a Super Bowl with what has gone on in the AFC. However, I think he needs to win the division, because if he doesn't, 3 road games to get to that Super Bowl. Can it be done? Of course, but it's not the way you want to do it, right? Like, especially with no Mahomes, potentially no like Lamar, like they need to win that game. I expect him to be great. Running backs again, CMC. I don't have to go through it. I just did. Travis Etienne, man, goodness gracious, 19 points, 3 of the last 4. But again, why I love him is volume. Volume is king, says Dave Eddy, and he is right. Again, he saw 32 rush attempts weeks 5 through 7. Since post bye, 18 attempts per game. So we had that period where we're like, is this, a split backfield? What is it? It's Travis Etienne's backfield. Yes, he will occasionally lose maybe a red zone, carry or third down work, but this is his backfield. And again, this is a Jets D that against the Falcons a couple of weeks ago, Bijan had over 180 rushing yards. And then last week, I would have loved to see what Achane did, because in the first quarter, by the way, before he got banged up, he had over 100 total yards on 8 touches.
Yeah.
And then his backup came in, Jalen Wright. He rushed for 100 yards and then a score. And then again, for the hat trick, Ollie Gordon threw in 1-2. Woody Marks, 5,600, another just great matchup. And again, volume is king. The Cardinals are very bad versus the run. And right now, Marks is averaging 20 carries per game over his last 4, coming off a career high 26 attempts. And then I didn't even know until just, 30 minutes ago. Now Nick Chubb's out. So monster volume game for Woody. And then again, like originally I had Chris Rodriguez. I will change that on my DFS cheat sheet since we get off this, but I'm going with JCM. He's 4,400. It's all the things that I was saying about the Giants. 154 rushing yards per game, 5.8 yards per carry. They are so bad versus the run. Wide receiver, Puka, again, you don't need much explanation, but I do want to add this. We didn't get a chance to talk about this during the start sit, but the Rams, Lions are a very good run defense. There's no doubt about that. It's going to be tough for the Rams to run. But boy, do they have an advantage in the pass. Their offensive line ranks 7th in pass block win rate. Detroit's pass rush rates 28th in pass rush win rate. They're going to be pushing them back. Stafford's going to have time. That's bad, bad, bad news for Detroit fans. I love Rashee Rice this week. A lot of people probably are going, Keith, Chargers ranked 2nd. What are you doing here? It's the zone rate. Chargers run zone 80% of the time. It's most in the NFL. And Rice is like the very rare exception of an elite receiver who is much better versus zone than he is versus man. And a lot of that is man's ran a lot less than zone. Like, I mean, even the defenses run man the most are running like 40% of the time. So obviously it's easier for receivers to have higher yards per route, run higher, yards per target, etc. versus man. But Rice, his yards per route run go from 0.93 versus man 2.76 versus zone. His first read target share goes from 21% versus man to 30% versus zone. And his fantasy points per route run skyrockets from 0.52 versus man to 1.92 versus zone. I think Rice is going to have a monster game. I really do. I think he's going to get peppered with targets. A.J. Brown is another great option. The irony in the Eagles passing game being in free fall is that, again, A.J. Brown is just ascending. Brown has now eclipsed 100 receiving yards in 3 straight, averaging almost 29 points per game over his last 3. Arguably my favorite play this week, Rashid Shaheed, 4,600 versus Indy. So first of all, last week was the first time we saw him out-target both Barner and Kupp in a game. But that is not what this is about. What this is about and thank you to Joe Matz for this. The Colts versus number 1 wide receivers. They allow 48 receiving yards per game, 7.2 targets per. That is actually one of the better rates in the NFL. Versus number 2s, they allow 78 receiving yards per game at over 8 targets per. The 78 receiving yards, it's nearly 25 yards more than any other defense in the NFL. And they give up a lot of big plays too. So I expect Shaheed to finally have that game where he goes nuclear. He's only 4,600. So it's not like he's going to cost you a ton. And again, it is so rare to see that kind of discrepancy. 48 receiving yards to number 1 receiver, 78 receiving yards to number 2s. And then one other just receiver that I really do like, and Joe Matz again taught me in this one, is Terry McLaurin, 5,200. The volume is there. The Giants are one of the worst defenses in the NFL versus number 1 wide receivers. I believe they ranked, or bottom 5, however you want to say it, in targets, receptions, receiving yards, fantasy points. So I think McLaurin's got a great opportunity to have a big game, and a game that I think there's going to be points scored. The tight end position, Dalton Kincaid is I wanted to go Warren. Like, I understand the people that are saying this could be a monster game for Warren, and it could be. Like, it really could. But in cash, I think it's too risky. We don't know what we're going to see from Rivers. My guy, Matt Ryan, who I think was better than Phillip Rivers, no offense, but he went to Indy, a lot younger, and was washed, and it was real bad. Rivers is like 7 years older than Matt Ryan was in 2020 when he played, or 2021, excuse me, when he played with the Colts. Guess who they signed after that? Phillip Rivers, and he also only lasted 1 season. So I just think that's too risky. If you want to play Warren, though, he's a great value. Like, his price, the fact that Seattle is awful versus tight ends, like, there's reasoning for it, but also is awful versus tight ends, New England, and Dalton Kincaid's cheaper. He's a few hundred cheaper, and you look at it, he scored a touchdown in 4 of his last 7. And then the big thing in that first matchup, 19.8 fantasy points. Harold Fanning Jr., great play. Since Shador took over, either ranking 1st or 2nd in target share, 25%, receiving yards at 65 per game, and fantasy points per at 15.4 yards. I do like Theo Johnson because, again, 25% target of Dart's targets go to tight ends. Now, that also, though, goes to Daniel Bellinger. Like, he does throw to both of them. I'm just saying he throws to tight ends no matter what. And you look at Theo Johnson, he scored double-digit points in 5 of the 8 games that they've played together that Dart started. But likely is my favorite tight end this week. You can actually, and before JCM, and I, again, got that gift from the gods that I can play him at 4,400 in a dream matchup, I was going to do a lot of double tight end lineups with Likely and Kincaid, because that would have been, under 8K, and it would allow me to get Puka and CMC into the lineup. Now with JCM, I probably won't be doing very many 2 tight ends. Instead, I'll probably be doing a lot of lineups with CMC, Puka, Woody Marks, and JCM. I see that being the case. Obviously, I'll have Rashid Shaheed in a lot of those, and McLaurin. Like, that's probably going to be the base of most of my lineups. Quarterbacks, I might kind of mix it up, but Likely just 2 weeks ago caught 5 of 6 targets versus the same defense for 95 yards. That was his first double-digit fantasy point game of the season. He actually followed it up with his 2nd straight double-digit fantasy point game of the season. So it looks like Likely is, they're like, oh, this guy's actually pretty good. And again, the Bengals, talking about, the Colts deal with the 1 and 2s and how wild that is. Cincinnati versus number 2 tight ends, 3.5 targets per game, which is wild. That, like, again, number 2 tight ends. A lot of teams don't even put number 2 tight ends out there very much. 35 receiving yards per game. That is more than Cade Otton, and 8.2 fantasy points per game. That's more than TJ Hawkinson and David Njoku. So doesn't get much better than that. And then the defenses, I'm just going to roll with the Saints. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, and pretty much all of them. Now, I will say that Joe made a very good case I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now. Who is Jacksonville playing? They are playing the Jets. He likes the Jets because he said it last week. Best special teams in the NFL. I think that was their fourth, either punt or kick return for a touchdown. And we know you get those 6 points, it's already a boom play for your defense. And the Jets are actually cheaper than my Saints. But the other thing is, look, Lawrence has been good as of late. There's no denying that. But Joe made the very good point. It is Trevor Lawrence who will turn the ball over at times. So I don't hate that, but I just think that the Saints are a very safe play. They forced 6 turnovers and sacked the quarterback 14 times over their last 6 games. And I just think Carolina is going to struggle. I do. I don't know if I've ever told you this, Dylan, but being a Falcons fan, you learn there's winning franchises and there's losing franchises. Sorry, Panthers. Y'all, like the Falcons, are a loser franchise. And what that means is when you have an opportunity like this on a platter, right, all you got to do is beat the Saints at home and you have officially taken control of your division. Not so fast. I don't think that's the way it's going to go. I know if this was the Falcons, they would lose this game. That's what, again, losing franchises do. So I like the Saints. Again, and I'll actually just read one of the lineups because I did change one of them real quick. So in this one, I have Dart at QB and went Marks, McCaffrey, McLaurin, Puka, Shaheed, Fannin, JCM, Saints D. And you might be going, Keith, where's your Giants receiver? That's what I like about Jackson Dart and these running QBs.
Yeah.
If they don't have like a Malik Neighbors or whatever, just run them naked. Then that way you're not, yes, it's obviously got a higher upside if, you have Wan'Dale Robinson in there and they go off. But if you end up having, say, like Darius Slayton in there and say Dart throws 3 touchdowns, but none of them are to Slayton, right? This is cash. We're just trying to score as much points as possible.
No doubt.
I think that can do it. And then, for instance, like if you want to go a little bit different, and this is one of the more wilder lineups I did this week, I have this lineup, which is Josh Allen, CMC, Devin Neal, Josh Downs, Puka Nacua, Rashid Shaheed, Theo Johnson, JCM, and the Saints defense. I actually really like that lineup. I think that, obviously there's some risk with guys like Downs and JCM and Theo, but you got to feel pretty good having Allen, CMC, and Puka in a lineup. Like, I expect those guys all to do well. So that is this week's cash. Again, I'm going to try to get on there real quick and put JCM on the cheat sheet. That'll be the only major change. But as always, I enjoy this. You're the man, Dylan, for doing the show and everything. I know how hard it is to host because I'm normally the host. It's not fun. So we appreciate what you do.
Appreciate you, Keith. That was great stuff as always. Before we get out of here, let's just try to tidy up these lineups. We got 3 questions real quick. Dynasty League. So it's a little bare here for the flex spots. Spears, Brian Robinson, Keaton Mitchell, Trey Tucker, or Troy Franklin. Keith, do we go here thinking that Pat Bryant's out? Do we go with Troy Franklin?
Yeah, I would either do that or I would go Mitchell versus Cincinnati. Mitchell has proved he is the kind of guy that can bust a huge run at any time. And say Baltimore gets up, I think that they would, give him more opportunities. So he would be the other guy I consider. I think Franklin is by far, though, like the best player, safest play out of this group.
All right. And then are we going Bill over Travion Henderson now in a good matchup, Keith? Both good matchups, I should say, actually.
I think because Ed Oliver is still out, right? He's done for the year, isn't he?
I want to say so. I'm not positive, though.
So, and again, I apologize about that, Mando, but if Ed Oliver is out like I believe he is, I would still go Henderson. I love JCM. I really do, but it's hard to sit somebody versus Bill's run defense. It just is really bad. And again, I would assume that New England's goal in this home game with a chance to win the division is let's keep Josh Allen off the field. And the way to do that is by running the ball.
All right. And then BTJ or Christian Watson?
Christian Watson. And Frosty, you can go to my DFS main slate article preview on fantasy6pack.net. And I have all the great information on Christian Watson under the Denver Green Bay game about why he is so good versus man defense.
All right, right on. I'm trying to still see if Ed Oliver's hurt, but I still haven't found anything.
I think I'm right. I think he's out for the year. I'm pretty sure he was another one of those that they lost for the year.
Are we going to go Christian Watson over Rico Dowdle and Ken Walker here too, Keith? Full point PPR?
The problem is neither Walker or Dowdle really catch passes. So I am. And again, I could be completely wrong. This could be where Watson, but I'm a data guy. And metrics say Denver runs man at one of the higher rates in the NFL. And Christian Watson is one of the best wide receivers. Not to mention, I don't know if you heard me say, he's now top 12 in points per game at wide receiver. So, like, this is not, a small sample size. Like, he is now one of the more electric receivers in the game. And I just think it's awesome. And I'm happy for Green Bay because to lose Tucker Kraft and just like what he was. And then, another one of your guys who's been like hurt to, come back and show the promise that, you thought you had when you drafted him. I think that's great.
Yeah, no doubt that definitely. I agree with you there. Seahawks defense or Eagles defense can't really go wrong here.
I like the Eagles because it's Kenny Pickett, but Phillip Rivers. So you can't go wrong. I would probably lean Philly though.
Cam Little, we don't have Kyle to answer.
Oh, I don't do kickers. I'm sorry.
Let's go Dicker the kicker. I'm gonna go Dicker the kicker here. But Keith, like always, man, this was a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and get you out of here. Update your cheat sheet. Make sure to check out the all the stuff Keith's got going on with his DFS cheat sheet, the Stats You Need to Know show with Casey Kasem and himself, and the NFL DFS Cash show that he does with Joe Metz.
Joe the Brain.
Really good stuff there. But love it. But for Keith, for Kyle, for Ike, for Joe, for Matt, if I'm forgetting anybody, I'm sorry. And for myself here, I appreciate everyone listening and can't wait to talk to you guys next week. See you guys.